Welcome back to another edition of Music Monday from the podcast Nurture the Mind. I am your host, Cole Poots, and we have yet again another music reaction. It's been a while since this artist has graced his presence on my channel. It is none other than Ren, Vincent's Tale, and it is Starry Night. I think this is a series because when I look on YouTube, I see another video, another song out there from Ren, and it's Vincent's Tale, and it says The Bedroom, and that was from 2 weeks ago. So who knows? I could be messing up the order. Maybe I need to go back, and that will provide all of the context in the world. I remember when I did my first reaction of this man on my channel for Hi Ren, that video is still to date, has the most views out of any video on my channel. I know it's like over 30,000 views. From that, I got a bunch of subscribers. I think that's actually what pushed me over 1,000 subscribers to the point where I could actually monetize my channel. This man obviously has a really big following, a really big support system, a great fan base. I remember from the videos, the reactions that I've done of this man, you know, everybody in the comments is just super nice, you know, super complimentary, just really good fucking people out there that exist. And I remember listening to that song, doing that reaction, and just being utterly blown away by the performance from Ren. I mean, that song to me felt really gut-wrenching and powerful, and that it signified a lot about him and his life and his story up until this point. So needless to say, anytime I listen to this man, I get excited now. It's not like I'm a huge fan. It's not like I am always listening to his music. I've only listened to maybe, 3, 4, 5 songs, and they've all been on the channel. But every time I've listened to this man, it's been really pleasant to see. And so I don't know what to expect with this song. It came out literally 3 days ago. Today is February 1st, Sunday. So this is a brand new song. There's a pin down here in the comments from Ren, and I'm going to read this so I can get some context before we go into the song, because it's a lengthy description here. Creating this for me was more than making a song. On my first attempt to film this, I went temporarily blind in one eye during an autoimmune attack. I ended up in the hospital with a flare of brain damage related issues and had to wait months before attempting again. And there were several very difficult setbacks during the time scraping this together, but I was so adamant to finish it because it embodied something I've been feeling deeply as a growing feeling for years, that we as people have created a system of decision making that is making us collapse inward. It's obvious everywhere that you look. No matter which side of the political fence you sit on, our own value system has divided us to the point of severe conflict. I'm sick of the circus. Despite this, I feel hopeful. Every day I meet and see beautiful people with good intentions, with no desire to tread on their fellow man or woman to get where they are going. With good thoughts, creative people who want to work to make change. And time again, we have proved our adaptability, our ability to learn, steer course when we need to, admit where we fall short rather than point fingers, and grow. A better way of making decisions on behalf of our entire species exists. We just have to want to build it, and we must build it together with good intentions. As always, here are the lyrics for anyone who wants them. Well, already that puts this into context beautifully. It feels like it's going to be deep. I mean, it's 8 minutes on here. I don't know if the song length is 8 minutes or it's just from what goes on in the music video, that's what makes it 8 minutes. But Ren, at least in that paragraph right there, is describing something that I think a lot of reasonably minded humans are also thinking of, are also feeling. I mean, we have the recent events, and I talked about it a little bit last week on the channel on the reaction that I did, but you have the recent events of what happened up in Minnesota with that second shooting of a citizen by an ICE agent. And it immediately leads to this polarization that we've already been seeing for, the last 10 or 15 years that just continues to ramp up. And it is scary because I don't know what that leads to. It feels like, when you look at the headlines of what's going on in America, what's going on in the world, it's like this constant reminder that everything is fucked up and everything is chaotic. And, I don't necessarily trust that because that's coming through the lens of the media. But nonetheless, you do feel the artificial division that goes on, mainly in mainstream media, but also on social media, to the point where if you do pick a side and you're very much on the right side, or if you're very much on the left side, it's like becoming so polarizing, people are not allowing themselves to have realistic, logical, common sense driven conversations anymore. And I know, Ren is not from the United States, he's from the UK, right? So I don't know if that's the same. I'm not well read on things that are going on in the UK, but I wonder if that's the same experience that they're having over there. I've heard in some of the podcasts that I've listened to that the UK has some really big problems as well. I'm just not super familiar on what those problems are. So needless to say, this sounds very deep. This is a man, I feel like, in all of his songs that provides a deep context, a very analytical, creative mind. And I very much ascribe and like to listen to music like that because that's how my mindset is driven. I don't like talking about surface level topics. I like to dive deep and see what is going on beneath the surface. So I'm going to stop talking. That was a cool effect right there. How the clapping got more silent when the door was closed. Oh, this is Act 1.
How do I begin? Wait a minute, I know. Step 1, I repent. Step 2, let me go. No, 3, maybe I show you remorse for my crime. Fuck that, let me speak my mind. So allow me to introduce myself to your manifestation of everybody in this room. Ever felt discarded by a system that's regarded to be something for the people, but the people disregarded, it's retarded. Putting all the power in the palms of the heartless. Lions don't care when chewing on carcass. Homeless levels rise and the politicians pardon. Slave labor wage, docking pay for the farmers. Britain, Great Britain, no, you're a slave. Great Britain, tax bracket rise, grow. Give a tax break for a suit and tie on the low. While the everyday people get fucked till they broke, so let me unload, I'm on the roll, I never vote, in the polls, Britain the road, who to control, when there is no food in the bowl. It's a low blow, representatives don't show empathy, plain to see, represent me, no soccer. Britons break backs just for bread and butter. Fuck the PM, did they sit stutter? In the PM, there'll be bodies in the gutter. Blood-stained hands, milk up all hands, other. 9 to 5, I can't survive away just to work in a job that can't provide. It's by design, my hands are tied, recline that, on this that, how the fuck can I pretend it's fine? The water is never wine, the peace steps to the slaughter. Before your eyes is for the new world order. Except our minds, court of law, a horse who will bend for bribe. All the while, people watch reality TV, sleep easy, wake and repeat the cycle. Are you taking a Michael? Better beat it up. City full of sheep tweeting on the social media. Tabloid twisting tails and it's causing mass hysteria. Polarize the people, never by the hand that's feeding you. When it comes to war, yeah, we calling for you needing you. Fighting for a cause that wasn't yours, then leaving you. Hyperpolarizing the left and the right. Are you woke? Are you racist? Black? Are you white? Are you all for the Brexit? Make us with exit. The NHS rots. Where was tax directed? Look, there goes another fucking puppet elected. Dance, little puppet dance. flies come to be expected. Sever head of Hydra, 2 parties resurrected. Yes, I am the malevolent, degenerate delegate. Incarcerate the truth, keep it separate. The fabric of society is dead, look up. They don't want me in the room, I'm the elephant. Let's go. I guess I was fucked from the get-go. Wrong place and wrong time, guess so. Wrong planet, wrong mind. Guess you could say I was destined to break, because I get no satisfaction. I roll stoned, ETAs with ET, I phone home, ETC, don't blink, life is gone. Time don't wait, the show must go on. In London underground, come rain and thunder. Junkies, drunks and punks stung by the hunger. God is good until life push you under. One by one become cold like the tundra. One by one cast out like pariah. Sever heaven body, so body bow to Messiah. Boy cry wolf, everybody soon expire. Run, little liar.
Oh shit, here we go. Harmony, singing, melodic.
There's no democracy. Democracy ain't corporate lobby free for all. Democracy ain't rich boys, silver spoon seniors. Democracy ain't eating up a lie, then forgiving. Democracy ain't choosing between herpes or chlamydia. Democracy, hypocrisy, a synonym entwined. Take a baby, then deliver him, position him in line, and then imprison him, condition him in school to make him blind. After they christen him, the Father, Son, the ghost, we're not the mind. We are divine, we lose potential when we gravitate degree. We are benign, we turn to cancer when we take more than we need. We are designed to be magnificent, we waste that when we walk. Starry Night, the plight of Vincent inside cell block 44. I fought a war inside myself, the war of every working man. War of what's and why's and how's, and when's the time to take a stand? Who's the one to put me in my place? You, or is it God? It's compliance, staying silent. If defiance comes from love, I come from love. I come from hope, I come from truth, I come from trust. I am the last remaining push inside a world that turns to dark. Against the people so determined, all to die. And for what? Love of power, love of money, love of ego, love of lust. What about love for the sake of love? What about really loving us? But I mean really loving us. That means that I, the me, myself is you, and so we're we in one. And there's never separation while we're moving round the sun. For the cell of every sentient, it shares a single song. That's the song of sweet creation. Do you hear the mental strong? Oh, there's more to music. Life is music.
Dude, listen to that instrumental.
In the mouth of Mother Earth, and her heart beating is the drum. Hear it, hear it, hear it. That's that thunder in your chest, and lies you know that you belong. We are free to one song. Something better, yeah, we start so we can all live on.
What is this? What is this instrumental, bro? It's all over the place. I love it.
Vincent! Oh good, he's waking up. Vincent, dear boy, I can feel your frustration, but you're in very safe hands here now. Please be patient. You see, we are the cutting edge rehabilitation. And you feel so excited for this new innovation. Not a guards, what the fuck, man? I think I wanna leave. Oh, leave? I'm afraid that that's impossible, see? You see, we're part of a new program, it's a government scheme. We're making gentlemen from criminals, and that's what you'll be. With a brand new method for sort of target attack. Like a good God's son, you'll be resurrected. What the fuck you on about? What kind of brand new method? Well, we take the frontal lobe and we kind of dissect it. Your cell is augmented with our new serum injected. It's able to recorrect the parts of you we know are defect. There'll be discomfort in your cerebellum. That's as expected. Hey, progress wants a price. That's it. Guards, this one will do. Yes, this one's fine. Take him away.
Damn, bro. And just like that, it's over in 8 minutes. I feel like Ren is so good at storytelling, and with these music videos, it's so captivating. It feels like you're watching a movie that 8 minutes goes by in an instant. Like, I was not sitting there thinking about how much time had passed. Like, I was just fully enveloped in the whole song and all the different acts that he had. My initial thoughts, I mean, I'll have to go through the lyrics because that man was spitting his ass off, but it feels very genre bending. Like, I'm not surprised in the slightest that this is what it sounded like from Ren, because again, from my minimal experience that I've had with Ren, this is very characteristic of him, is he pulls a bunch of different sounds, a bunch of different elements, a bunch of different moving parts, and somehow he is able to meld all of those ingredients together. And it's very tasty, you know, once you mix all of these ingredients and you come out with the finished product. So I did not catch all of his lyrics. I know he was talking about a lot of different things. The music was captivating, the different sounds, how the song and the music video evolved along the way is really impressive, right? Like, it's impressive to do the things that he's done at least once, but then to repeat that in new songs that you release, in new projects that you put out, and to always evolve your craft has to be the hardest thing for any human to do, whether you're in music, whether you're in a different type of career, is telling yourself that you're never going to become complacent and do and create the things that you've already done and the things that you've already created. Like, you have to figure out a way to push the envelope as much as possible. And from everything that I've seen from Ren, everything that I've heard from Ren, I feel like he does that very well. He says, I know my lane, I know what I'm good at, I know what my skill set is, but I'm never going to settle to create the same song that I've already created. All right, let's go through some of these lyrics, because, I mean, this guy wrote a diary. So in Act 1, it says, how do I begin? Wait a minute. I know, step 1, I repent. Let me speak my mind. Clears the throat, so allow me to introduce myself to you. Feels like Eminem. Allow me to reintroduce myself. That's different, but I swear that Eminem has also said that very same thing in one of his songs. But the people disregarded, it's retarded, putting all the power in the palms of the heartless. Lions don't care when I'm on a roll, I never vote, rigging the polls, Britain erodes, who's in control? When there is no food in the bowl. Okay, so my initial thoughts in the beginning when I was doing the intro is I was like, okay, is he gonna comment on what's going on in America, United States, or is he going to stick to his country, Britain, the UK, and what's going on over there? And he did the latter of the two options, but at least in that first act, when he's talking about what's going on in Great Britain, a lot of those lines make me think about what's also going on in America, maybe in a slightly different regard. Because if you ask a majority of the citizens that are over here in the United States, a lot of people, including myself, are fed up with the system and the deep state and the amount of corruption that goes on in the deep state. And it is infiltrated by politicians that do not actually serve the American people. They serve themselves, and all they care about is lining their pockets with more money, with more wealth. And they are abolishing the oath that they agreed to, which is they're going into office to serve the American people. So again, I would have to get context for what's going on in Great Britain, but at least on Act number 1, some of the things that he's talking about, it makes me feel like it's synonymous to some of the things that are going on over here in America. because we have homeless levels on the rise and politicians getting pardoned. I mean, nobody at great length over here is held accountable for what they've done in recent memory, and I think that that is one of the biggest gripes that I have about Donald Trump. Like, he ran under the guise and the ticket of, I'm going into office for the second time and I'm going to put an end to all of this crazy shit that's going on in our country. And at least right now, he's been in there for about a year on his second term. He hasn't really done any of those things that he promised to do. And so you kind of feel like, as the citizen of whatever country that you're in, when you see these things unfold with your government, it makes you lose hope. It makes you feel hopeless and in despair, like nothing is ever going to change. And I imagine, he said that not even in the lyrics, but in the description below, and that comment that's pinned on this video, talking about how it makes him feel so shitty. He said he does have hope as well because of the great, beautiful people that he gets to meet day in and day out. But no wonder people feel hopeless, and depression and anxiety and mental health issues are at an all-time high. We're constantly getting pinned against each other in an artificial way that's done over technology and social media companies, and humans are not meant to be under that pressure cooker all the time. We're just not meant to live that way and to hate each other like that. 9 to 5, I can't survive. I wake just to work in a job that can't provide. It's by design. My hands are tied. I climb debt. Never bite the hand that's feeding you. When it comes to war, they'll be calling for you, needing you, fighting for a cause that wasn't yours and leaving you, hyperpolarizing the left and the right. Are you woke? Are you racist? Black? Are you white? Goodness, Ren. I wonder how this man writes when he's thinking so fast. How does he document all of these thoughts on paper, or does he just rip it? In those lyrics, it's so similar to what we experience in America. He's talking about 9 to 5, I can't survive. I wake just to work in a job that can't provide. It's by design. I heard somebody say this one time on YouTube. I was watching this guy's video, and he was an older black gentleman, maybe like in his 50s or his 60s, and he's working for the post office or whatever, and he basically described a job as standing for just over broke. I grew up in a system here in America where, when I was going through high school, the common narrative is that you go to college, you get an education, you get a degree, and yes, you're going into debt, but you're going to be set up for the future. You're going to be in a better position later because you got that education, and then once you get out of college, you're going to go make, more money than you would if you didn't have an education, or if you skipped college like altogether. And I think in large part, it's just a bunch of bullshit. Like, it's not the case whatsoever. Typically when you get out of college, you don't really have any experience in the job world, the job market, and especially just as like a human, like you don't have a ton of life experience. And because you're starting out with no experience, but this education is like, you basically have to work yourself up the ladder. And I feel like, now what I've realized all of these years later, being out of college since 2021, is that, you don't get your highest paying job right away. It takes time to really build and develop your career. And like, on top of that, the whole time you're learning and you're trying to build your skill set. And it's like they propagate this idea that you have to go to college, but really it's pushing, I think, so much unnecessary debt on a lot of people. That was one of the main reasons why I moved back to my parents' house back in June, because like I wasn't getting anywhere with my debt. Now, there are people out there in the world that have way more debt than I do. Like, I'm going to say that I'm still pretty lucky and I'm still pretty fortunate. I don't have, massive amounts of debt, but, they don't explain to you when you're younger and you're taking on these loans and this debt and how it's going to work and how you're going to have to pay it back later. And nobody described to me what interest was or what principal was. And so this whole time for years, I've been making payments on my student loans, but I was, making minimum payments. So I was only tapping into interest. I wasn't actually tapping into the principal amount. And so it's like this, for a lot of people, it's like this endless cycle that just keeps them stuck. And then a lot of the jobs out there, the wages that you're going to go out and make, it's not sufficient for you to really build the life that you want. And on top of that, okay, so you don't earn so much, even if you're qualified or you're overqualified or you do a lot of great things for the company or the organization. It's like, on top of that, our governments tax us so much, like here in America. The amount of taxation that we are put under, I am willing to bet and I am willing to guarantee that it's close to 50% of our income. And so like, you're working so hard throughout the year, and yet you are not able to take home all of the money that you made. It goes back to the government, and then they fund bullshit causes that keep on dividing us. A lot of the media systems, like, that's funded by the government. The artificial division through the social media companies, the protests that are going on up in Minnesota right now, starting to be proving that these are paid agitators. These are paid protests. So none of it unraveled organically. A lot of these protesters are there because they're getting a paycheck, and to just like create this illusion that there is more division in this country than there actually is. So it's like, we get taxed to no end, and yet that taxation system, like, none of it, like barely any of it, probably actually benefits the citizen of that country. So I wonder if that's what goes on, out in Great Britain, the UK, because that certainly goes on here in America. But he's addressing so much, and then there's lines down here: better beat it to the city, full of sheep tweeting on social media, tabloids twisting tails, and it's causing mass hysteria, polarize the people, never bite the hand that's feeding you. When it comes to war, they'll be calling for you, needing you. I mean, he's saying it so beautifully. He's saying it so perfectly. The amount of people, the amount of the population in this country and the population of the people around the world that are addicted to technology, to their devices, to the screens, to social media. Another thing that humans are not meant to do. We're getting sucked in to all of these bullshit narratives, and we're forgetting the whole aspect that has always binded all of us together, which is humanity. He's saying in there how it's, they're twisting tails. I mean, that's what the mainstream media does. And I can't fathom and believe why there are still people out there. I feel like it's mainly a lot of the older generations, like boomers and whatnot, because that's what they were raised on. It's like when you watched legacy media, like, they treated it as if it was the truth or as if it was the Bible, and it's something that you couldn't ever stray away from. But generations, closer to my age, these younger generations that are coming around, they're now getting, a lot of their information from podcasts or independent podcasts that aren't on either side. They call it like straight down the middle. One that I would always plug, the one that I probably listen to the most, is Real AF, with a guy named Andy Frisella, and then DJ Johnson. And Andy Frisella owns the company First Form, which is a supplement company, but they do energy drinks, meat sticks, protein bars, a bunch of different things. And there's a bunch of different shows that are within that podcast or within that show. But him and DJ, they have a show called Cruise the Internet, where they basically pick 3 headlines, current events of things that are going on around the world, and they dissect it in a unbiased manner. And what I love about this podcast is that, they would definitely get labeled as like conspiracy theorists or right-wing conspirators, but like Andy Frisella, let's just pull up like Donald Trump. Like, in regards to Donald Trump, Andy Frisella, whenever Donald Trump does something good, Andy will acknowledge that. But if Trump does some stupid shit, Andy will also say that. And that builds credibility, within your audience and trust within your audience. And we can't trust mainstream media. And I'm saying on both sides, whether it's a Fox News or a CNN, because they're totally fucking biased. They have their own narratives and they have their own agendas. Can't listen to that. Can't absorb that. Like, if we cut the power structure and we quit giving into legacy media and we get off of our phones and technology and we quit giving into social media, people can start to attempt to come back together once again. You know, something that we've lost incredibly over the last 10 to 15 years. Like, we've just allowed ourselves to be the victims of all of this artificial division and go in our camps and our ideological bubbles and just not have honest conversations with each other. Like, you can have your views on politics, but I feel like most humans want the same things. They might just have a different idea as to how they're supposed to get there. And that's why conversation is critical, because you can iron those things out. And you can't really, for the most part, have respectful dialogue and disagreements over social media. Like, you're not seeing that person face to face. Everything gets twisted. Everything gets distorted. He's saying that. Polarize the people, tabloids, twisting tails, causing mass hysteria. When it comes to war, they'll be calling for you, needing you. It's like these fucking politicians creating the artificial division and the artificial chaos around the world, getting us wrapped up in unnecessary conflicts and wars, and then says, oh, we got to go to war with this country. You know, we're going to draft people. You're going to go fight for this cause that you don't believe in. And not only that, it's a conflict that the American citizen or Great Britain citizen, they didn't start that conflict, but now they have to go fight, you know, in the middle of this conflict and then potentially fucking die as a result. Like, how do more people not see through the many problems that are going on in this world? And I say the world, I can more so look at it through the lens of like what's going on in the country that I live in. Like, that's typically where I start. Are you woke? Are you racist? Black? Are you white? Why does it fucking matter? Like, these identity politics, that's why, like, the powers that be, they desperately try so hard to divide us on every area of contention, because if we unify on a mass level, their power structure falls away. Like, that would be the takeaway that I would say to everybody. Like, that's the real thing that you need to think about in the midst of all of this, is like, why do the powers that be, the politicians, the media, like, why, and etc., why do they all push for so much division? Like, really ask yourself that question. And I think that if you're being honest with yourself, you'll come to the conclusion that they push for the division because united we stand, divided we fall. If we become united and we put all of the bullshit aside, we can finally make some real change and work towards some real progress in our country, other countries around the world, and collectively as a human race. But that's not the popular narrative to sell. It's not sexy to sell. Act number 2, yes, I am the malevolent, degenerate kid. They don't want me in the room. I'm the elephant. Great line right there. I remember on my first, on the listen, when he said that, I was like, oh, damn, like, that's a really good line. Let's go. I guess I was fucked from the get-go. Wrong place, wrong time. Guess so. Wrong planet, wrong mind. Guess you could say I was designed to break because I got no satisfaction. I roll stoned. ETA with ET, I phone home. Another good line. ETC, don't blink, life is gone, time don't wait, the show must go on. In London, underground, take a baby, then deliver him, position him in line, and then imprison him, condition him in school to make him blind. After they christen him, the Father, Son, the ghost, but not the mind. We are divine, we lose potential. When we gravitate to greed, we are benign, we turn to cancer. Guys, I don't know if I can read this anymore. My goodness, how did he perform this? I mean, it's insane. Early on in that act, early on in Act 3, you know, where he's talking about take a baby, then deliver him, position him in line, and then imprison him, condition him in school to make him blind. after they christen him, the Father, Son, the Ghost, but not the mind. I mean, that's an important line too, right? Because I do believe that that's a huge part of what's going on, is that we are taught from such a young age about compliance and staying in line and social norms. And maybe some of those things are good, right? Because you have to have a little bit of a rigid nature to life that we can all prescribe to, so we don't devolve into utter chaos. But like, I don't feel like in our current system that it really encourages people to be free thinkers, to be critical thinkers, and to question what's going on. And when we see all of these narratives that get pushed so hard in the media, I think another great question that everybody could ask themselves that ends up watching this music reaction is that when you question any of the mainstream narratives, you know, we could go back to COVID, we could go back to George Floyd, we could go back to Russia and Ukraine, we could go back to war in the Middle East, we could go back to the 2020 election, we could go back to the assassination attempt on Donald Trump in Butler, Pennsylvania, we could go back to the actual assassination of Charlie Kirk, and then now the fraud that started in Minnesota, but now the two people that have been killed by ICE agents up in Minnesota. Why is it that if your narrative in the mainstream media is right and accurate, why do you not allow people to question your narrative? They always freak out when you ask questions. Do you guys remember in COVID that you could not say anything that went against the mainstream media's narrative? There were literally podcast content online that was getting censored if you strayed away from the mainstream narrative. And a lot of people realize now, although I realized this very early on into COVID, that it was all manufactured bullshit. COVID is a real thing, but it was never deadly. It was never lethal. It was only deadly and lethal to the older set of the population. And then people that had chronic illnesses, comorbidities, or people that were fat as fuck and didn't take care of their health. So why should we, as the entire human race, shut down the entire fucking world? Because that's what we were forced into doing during COVID. And it didn't stop at that. It's like shutting down the world, taking away your rights and the things that you could do as a citizen of your country. And then it was like, wear this mask. And then it was like social distancing. And then it was like, yeah, like you can't have a regular education. You can't see a loved one in that time if they were about ready to die, if they were on a ventilator. Like, you had to watch it over Skype. People were getting arrested in the streets for going to parks. There was in San Diego, there was a guy that was surfing and he was getting arrested by cops. It's like, what the fuck? You're away from everybody. You're outside. It's the craziest thing ever. And then they're like, hey, get a vaccine. And hey, if you don't take the jab, then you're going to get fired from your job. And if you don't take the jab, then you're a bad person and you're a grandma killer. If you believe so matter of fact in your opinion, your narrative, then why can't you go out and defend it? And why can't you calmly dismantle the opposition's narrative, or for people that are asking questions for clarification? Because nothing in that situation made sense. In any of those situations that I just described, the mainstream media's narrative, like, none of it ever makes sense when you flip it on its head and you think about it logically. But his line about all of that, we are conditioned to just go along with the status quo and whatever they tell us. It's really sad. It's really frustrating. Act 4. Vincent. Oh, good. He's waking up. Vincent, dear boy, I can feel your frustration. So this turns into whatever that guy was that's sitting across from him, but it's also Ren, but just dressed up in a different character, almost looks like a mad scientist or something. You see, we are on the cutting edge rehabilitation. So maybe it wasn't even a prison, although it felt like a prison cell. Maybe it's like a psych ward or something. I don't know what else to say, guys. I don't want to take any longer. That's just so much to dissect as far as lyrics, so I might have to cut out some of that stuff, like the unnecessary gibberish. But yeah, we really did a deep dive into the lyrics, and I went on many different rants. The music is insane. the beatboxing, the humming in the beginning, and then it transitions at some point. It turns into like different genres, and then he's like singing and he's harmonizing, and then it's like I hear some type of guitar in there, and it feels like this electromagnetic field. I mean, this guy is just an exceptional artist and an exceptional storyteller. So that was once again a very fun music reaction and very serious subject matter to speak on. So I hope that that inspired some people out there that go ahead and watch this to speak up. If you're feeling like you have become hesitant in that area in your life, I think that's the indication for all of us that we can't lose our voice. They're trying to silence us. They're trying to cut out our voice because they realize that if we do speak up, we become really powerful. I mean, think about in Minnesota before the shootings and whatnot, we had a fraud situation that was uncovered with the Somali daycares. That young gentleman, Nick Shirley, is the one who uncovered it. You know, if a young man like that can go up there and expose the fraud, and then, you know, the government acts right away, tries to do something about it, and now Tim Walz is saying, yeah, I'm not running for re-election. If one person can do that, you know, a young kid, a young man at that age, imagine what we can all do if we all band together. And I realize for me over here on YouTube, it's not like I have an insanely big channel. I'm like right under 2,000 subscribers, but if you get even with a small platform that I have, if we get everybody talking in their own, you know, local communities, this shit starts to spread like wildfire. So Ren, I don't know if you would even watch this music reaction, but thank you for making a song like this. It's very important. Seems like maybe you're not necessarily talking about the things that are going on in the United States, but the parallels and the overlaps of what's going on here and how that translates over to the UK, Great Britain. And I just applaud your creative genius and your willingness to talk about hard subjects like everything that you talked about in this song. So thank you guys. Thank you for coming over here. Checklist items at the back end of the video, 4 things that I ask that you guys do. You don't have to do all 4, but if you came over here, if you enjoyed the content, if you got value out of it, if it wasn't a waste of your time, please help me grow my channel and my message. You can like the video, you can subscribe to the channel, you can comment in the comment section below, or you can share this on social media or talk about it with somebody in your life. By doing one of those 4 things, you really help me grow my channel, and that would mean the world to me if you guys did that. So thanks for the support, and I will see you guys on the next reaction, podcast, vlog, whatever it turns out to be. I never know. All right, guys. See you later. Bye-bye.